Howdo guys, it's Luke at Luke's APS, and in this video I'm going to take you through how to make simple modular rivers that look like this. So guys, yes, modular rivers. In this video I am going to be using my Animalia tiles, which I reviewed in the video the other day, which you can see up here. So if you aren't using a tile like this, you can easily make them. You just need to make sure that both ends of your rivers are exactly the same size on every portion of river that you do. So if you was to cut just some EPVC to shape, just make sure that all your ends of your rivers are the same, and that way it makes it simple. And then use all the steps in this video to make your modular rivers. All right guys, if you do want to see how to make jigs to make it easier for making modular rivers not using tiles like this, let me know in the comments below, and I will do a video on that if it's popular enough. All right guys, so let's crack on with these modular rivers. I'll see you after this. Right, so first up we mix up some of the Luke's APS modelling compound, which can be purchased from Geek Gaming below. It's a paper plaster mix that goes off very quickly, and we use this to just get rid of the unnatural laser cut edge of the wood. Once you've done that and got it all pasted into the shape you want, wet your hands and smooth it out to get a really nice gradual banking. You don't have to take much time with this because we are going to be using coverings and everything over the top, but try and get it pretty smooth because this one's going to be like a very arid sort of sand setting, so I don't want it to be too rocky or undulated. 10 minutes to complete. The gaps, just make sure you leave a little bit of a notch. Your rivers are going to be roughly the same width. So as you can see, they just butt up nicely. Right, I had a couple of stones. All I do, a bit of modelling compound underneath, and then put a bit of compound up against the Woodland Scenic rock moulds, just to add a bit of rocks near the bay. Flat it down and work it in so it looks like it's in the ground. I do this on all the tiles. Then we give all the tiles a base colour of a dark sand. If you wanted muds or anything else, use a dark brown or black or red for whatever sort of baseboard that you're doing. Then we paint the rocks, leopard spot technique. We're going with an ochre first and just wash that all over all the rocks. Then I use like a brownie cream, which goes all over, and then we go to a black wash. It might look a bit over the top, this black wash, but bear with it, it does soak in and give you a nice colour in the end. Once we've gone from that, we just paint PVA glue all over the boards, and this is so we can get the base covering of all those coarse ground covers down. Now what I'll be using for the coarse ground covers is my desert sand and stone mix, which can be found at Geek Gaming. If you was doing like an earth type board, I'd go for something like arid earth, but this is the nicest colour close to what I'm going to do the main covering of the board. As you can see, very natural colours of sand and stone, and then we're going to put the fine stuff down in a second. I do fill the complete riverbed with this as well, because I use the coarser stuff, just to make it look more like a stony riverbed. Now, my ground covers, I've used these many times. It's soil mixed with tile grouts, and then add pigments just to get the colour that you wish. So you don't have to paint it, it just makes it very quick and very natural looking. Sprinkle this all around all your coarse areas to blend it all in. It's just like flocking. It gives you a very nice natural ground appearance, and it's very quick, and with it having the tile grout in there, once it's sealed and dried, it's not coming off. It's absolutely solid. So very quick, very hard, very wargame safe, and you don't have to mess around painting. And the best thing, it's far more to scale because it's a lot more finer than just sand. Now for sealing it, I give it a spray with isopropanol. This is just so the spray glue absorbs into the grouts and sands more. It gets rid of all the water tension. Now as I spray this on, it's not spraying properly. It's because my nozzle's just caked in glue. So all I do to get around that is I just spray my hand and let it drip off. It's far quicker than pipetting it on, and if your spray bottle's not working right, this isn't going to blow sand all over the place and make a mess. It's not the nicest thing to do, but just spray your hand and it dribbles all over. And this is a 50-50 mix of varnish, PVA glue and water. Now with the varnish and the PVA glue, it's a new way of sealing things. I find it to dry quite a lot quicker and a hell of a lot firmer the first time rather than having to reapply, so that's why I do it. Now I'm using a 2-in-1 light green on this. With it being foam, it will absorb a lot of that glue that's on top, and it will darken down the foam a little, making it look a lot more natural. So just sprinkle that where you want it. It is a little bit unnervy when you see it taking the glue on because it sort of loses its fluffiness and shape. Don't worry about it. When the glue dries, you get a really nice natural finish. As you can see, while it's wet, it looks a bit weird, but then the next day when it's completely dry, it will look fine. Quick tip, we'll do all your tiles in one go. Even me, if I come to do a tile a week later, it can look slightly different. So while you're in a routine, just blast them all out in one go. The next day when they're completely dry, look at it, it's all lightened up, the flock's stuck on the glue, it's darkened it up a little bit, all looks very nice and very natural. Now the complicated part, well I thought it was going to be complicated. Using these boards I was a bit worried about using resin because there's not enough surface space to put your tape on to stop the resin pouring everywhere. However, it worked very well, so yeah, just do it this way. All I'm using is just masking tape. It's just decorating masking tape. I think it was like $1.25 a roll. It's not expensive. And just rubbed it on with my hand. I did rub it quite firmly, and I did leave it an hour or so for the glue to go really tacky. But I just put it on there and left it. I cut it, folded it underneath, so if there was any leaks, it sort of stopped itself and held it underneath the fold. I was a bit dubious at this point, but as I've said, it worked brilliantly. Right, my water effects of choice is the water clear epoxy from CFS. I buy this because it's far cheaper than hobby products. It's a hell of a lot better, and it's just easy to use. It's far simpler than the polyester that I used to use in my older videos. It's a lot more user friendly, so that's why I use it. It's a 50-50 mix, so you don't really have to think about what percentage of catalyst. It's very simple that way. It's safe to use on foam. You can put just standard inks in it. You don't have to specialist pigments or anything. Super simple, very easy to use. And all you've got to do is just give it a good mix. So 50-50 mix, and away you go. Now for colour I went with a bit of a brown tint, which is just an artist ink. Pour it from just an average height because we'll pop the bubbles later. Now for getting it all the same level, I didn't really worry about it too much because I'm going to be texturing this afterwards. But to get it closely all the same level across the board, I just eyed a height on the riverbank, which I just copied across all of them. It doesn't matter if there's some slight height differences because we'll sort that with the rippling effect later. Now once you've gone through and poured all of them, you will see some bubbles, you will see it sort of creeping up the bank. Just tap it down with the paddle and we'll come and pop the bubbles later. The riverbank, if you just tap it with your stick, you'll get rid of all that sort of where it creeps up. Popping the bubbles, we just use a blowtorch. You can use a heat gun, you can blow on it through a straw because the carbon dioxide in your breath gets rid of that, but you will get quite lightheaded doing it over 6 boards. After around 6 hours, once it's firm, I peeled the tape off. If while you're peeling the tape off it moves a little bit, or it's like a really rubbery texture, give it another hour or so. But it was very warm this day, and in 6 hours it were more or less firm. You can sort of see it pulling down as I'm trying to get that tape off, but don't worry about it. Now let's fix these little errors. I did overfill this one, and I have dropped resin all over the tile because I was leaning over myself. It's so easy to do, guys. Don't worry about it. You might get it all over the place. It's a very, very easy fix. All I do is I just put some PVA glue on the mistake, I brush it around, and then we sprinkle some more ground cover on it, and that hides it perfectly. Simple. So don't worry when you make these little mistakes. Right, so you might find now that because of the weight of the resin, it might have just protruded from the edge a bit, especially this one. This one's really bad. The way to get round this is to just sand it flat. I didn't think it'd be this bad. However, that is another mistake on my half. But it's a simple mistake to fix. I do have a hand sander. If you don't, just a sanding block with a bit of sandpaper on will do the same trick. Spend a bit of time, get them flat. Next on, we move to ripple effects. This is clear fix that I use for my water effects, for all my ripples and everything. Again, you can buy that from Geek Gaming below. I mix it with white spirit just so I've got a bit longer working time. I make it to like a really nice thin paste, and then I just put the ripples on. Now, modular tiles, the problem is we're doing rivers, is obviously rivers flow a certain way. If it's a modular table, they can flow anyway. So what I did was I didn't really give it a specific flow in a way. I just made the water ripple not in a direction, if that makes sense. So I avoided waves, I avoided any form of actual directional flow. I just put ripples in the water, and I just did this across the whole board till I was happy. So as you can see, it's not overly complicated. It's just, again, knowing your materials, and using these materials do make it a hell of a lot quicker and simpler. And yeah, as you can see, the effects are nice and natural. Everything looks reasonably realistic, and it's on a nice modular tile system, so easy to store and look after. So guys, what do you think? I'm really happy with how they're coming out. Modular tiles, to me, they always look a little bit flat, so using the compound to modulate the earth a bit better, and with it being quick drying, means you can do them all in one sitting. I mean, all 6 tiles, so a 6-foot river, took me just under a day. So, and that's even with the resin pour. So I'm very happy with it, and just looking forward to getting the rest of the table done, so I can actually see it all together. But I'm sure you'll see that over the coming weeks. We're going to be working on the hills, we're going to be doing some forest tiles, we're going to be doing some modular terrain, things like that on them as well. So, nice few videos coming up. Alright guys, thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in. If you want to support the channel, don't forget to check out my shop, which is geekgaming.co.uk. There's Zorbazorb in Australia, who are a reseller of my scenics, and also Footshaw USA as well, which all the links are in the links below. So thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you again for the next video. Love, love, love.